Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Pam Peak, and I'm the host of the Club 100 podcast. And, we're going to be sharing so many marvelous stories of transformation. It's really about mental, physical, and even spiritual today. Hint, hint, teaser alert transformation with amazing women and men who are just out there loving life and lifting heavy things mentally and physically. So, in doing so, Club 100 people inspire as they perspire. And, this is really interesting. Most people out there really want to know about life's challenges. How do people tackle them? How do they adapt and adjust? What's it really all about? So, what you're going to hear are raw, real, authentic comments and stories about these challenges from triumphs to epic fails and then back to triumph again. And so, this is a shout out to everyone out there to please come and join our wonderful Club 100. All you have to do is run on over and have a little look at what's going on over at 100 Club 100. And the 100 are the red numbers. And then please just put little 100s around your own name and then give us a shout out at the club and we're going to give you a royal welcome. That's what we're going to do. All right, we're ready to start. Now, this is going to be episode 6, and our guest is someone I have been following forever, ever since I got onto the club. I just find Pastor Paul to be just ridiculously amazing. And I have always wanted to hear his story. So, quite frankly, this podcast is nothing more than an excuse to be able to hang out and hear all of your amazing
Yeah.
stories. So, welcome to the Club 100 podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, what's your real name? What's your whole name?
My name is Paul Butler, and I don't really prefer the title Reverend. I have one of those official pieces of paper. A lot of people just call me Pastor. A lot of people just call me Paul. Um, so there you have it.
Excellent. Fantastic. We're going to hear about where that came from too. No question about it. But, when I watch you working out and doing your thing, and then you disappear for a while, sometimes you're in Africa, want to hear about that. And, you're a man of the cloth, as they say. Do they even say that anymore? A person of the cloth, a human being of the cloth. Um, but most people would probably have like some stereotype of some very quiet, contemplative, saintly person, and you're hanging from rafters. And you're just all over this gym lifting very large objects. And I have just, along with so many members in the club, been fascinated with that whole thing. So start from the beginning and tell us how this whole thing rolled out.
Wow. Okay. I didn't grow up doing fitness. I mean, my parents were both, they were both pretty fit. They didn't work out or anything, but just in the course of living and working, they were trim. They were fit people. We're all small framed people. I started out at 5'6". Um, and now I'm down to like 5'4" because of disc degeneration, but hallelujah, still plugging along. But yeah, I didn't grow up doing fitness. I didn't really like sports. I liked climbing trees and hiking and getting lost in the woods, that kind of thing. Back in my day in school, we had the President's Physical Fitness Challenge.
I
That's like,
remember them.
okay, you're dating yourself, but
Dude,
yeah,
you didn't hear that. Nobody heard that. Um,
I love that because pull-ups, push-ups, like all that stuff I could do, but I was skinny as a rail and stayed that way. Um, I became a Christian believer when I was 16. That kind of really radically changed the direction of my life. Knew I wanted to do ministry stuff, but I've never been normal. Okay, just so you know.
What the heck
You
is
know,
normal? Come on
yeah,
now.
yeah. Who
What is
knows what that
normal?
really is, right? But I really had a fascination with Africa, and I felt like I had a call to that. Met my wife in our Bible college, our ministry training school, and anyway, mid-20s. We went off to what is now Democratic Republic of Congo, and I mean, I was healthy, I was energetic, but I weighed 118 pounds because it's stinking hot in Africa, and you don't get all the junk that food and heavy sugar and carb stuff you get here, and you work hard. So we would send pictures home to my parents. This is in the days before our wonderful cell phones. I'd have to send rolls of film home if somebody was coming out to visit and going back. And, they'd get these pictures developed and they'd look and go, oh my gosh, he's wasting away.
He's disappearing.
And when I look at pictures, I mean, I really do look kind of skeletal. And, I didn't really care. At that time, we were there for years, eventually had to evacuate because of unrest in the country. Did that twice with amid gunfire, bullets bouncing off the house. Ended up in the States. I ended up beginning to pastor a small church near Baltimore, Maryland, and plugging along through my 30s, and I got up to about 130 pounds. Then I got to around 40, and I remember I started to feel really washed out and tired, and I was just dragging. And I thought something is I'm too young to feel this way. Well, I had a growth, a nodule on my thyroid, and went to the doc. They figured that out, biopsy, not cancer, but they did the surgery and had that removed. And but I thought I have got to start doing something. At that point we still had kids at home, and very busy life. And I thought I cannot be this tired. And there was a guy in our church who I knew worked out regularly, and he was really built. And I thought I'm going to do that. So went to the gym with him. He kind of showed me the basics and got into it. And at that point in my life, I really wasn't like serious about it like I am now. I started going a couple times a week, and over the years, put on some muscle, put on some weight, and they just kind of tootled along that way until it's almost 9 years ago. My health started to go rapidly downhill again. I didn't know what was going on. And at this point, I had resigned from pastoring our church. I was working in West Africa, out in a village 80 miles off the paved road where it gets 120 degrees in hot season. It was rough, but I just started feeling just washed out again, rotten, tired, started losing weight, aching all over. And I thought, man, this getting old thing, sucks. And then I was in my, I was in my 50s. And I thought, well, just getting old. I didn't want to go to a doctor. No offense, Pam, but I thought, what is a doctor going to do?
Go right ahead, let it rip. Just
in my mind, I'm thinking, because everything was so vague. I had bone pain sometimes. I had just felt like I was getting the flu. I thought, maybe it's just some low level of malaria that I never got over from the last time I had malaria, whatever. And so I just plugged away, traveling back and forth to Africa. And but finally, the summer of 2013, it got to the point that I was down to 130 pounds, and I began to lose all my muscle mass. And I'd gotten to a point, I wasn't huge, but my wife, actually thought I looked buff. And I was like, woo. Well, within a period of a few months, I just shriveled up, and I looked like a 90-year-old man, and 90-year-old unhealthy man, gray complexion. I looked in the mirror one day and I thought, all right, I got to go to the doc. Something's really wrong here. And it didn't take long for my primary, who was very sharp, to order the right tests. And it was discovered that I had multiple myeloma, which is a blood cancer, plasma cell cancer in the bone marrow. And it affects so many systems and processes in the body at once. And when I got diagnosed with bone marrow biopsies and, all the other blood work and 24-hour urine test, you name it, there's a lot of testing. It was discovered I was really in like the last stage. 80% of my bone marrow was cancerous plasma cells. And, I had done one more trip to Africa. Lab work, I'd done lab work. My doctor said, you can go do your thing as long as I can get a hold of you. So I was in Mali, West Africa, and just feeling rotten, dragging myself through each day. And I got an email message when I got back into town from our village. And he said, you need to come home right now. And he happened to be in his office. I emailed back. I said, well, can I have a couple of weeks? I have work to do. He said, no, you don't understand. You need to come back now. So I thought, oh, serious. And came home. That's when they discovered how far gone I was. And by that point, I could not walk up the stairs in our house without stopping halfway to catch my breath. One of the things.
How long ago was this?
This was 2013, September,
Okay.
October.
So it was 9 years ago, right?
Yeah, about 9 years ago. And, all this junk protein that the myeloma cells throw into your bloodstream, it robs your blood of oxygen, damages your kidneys. So just the short version, my kidneys were severely damaged. All my protein from food was just going down the toilet. My body could not hold protein anymore, which is why I rapidly lost all my muscle mass. It's just out of breath all the time. Most of the day I felt like I was about to pass out, but couldn't. And I thought, well, I'm done. I'm going to die. And, I have to admit there were a few tears at first. And I thought, oh, wait a minute. I'm a believer. I know God loves me. I belong to him. My kids are grown at this point. Thank God they're, all independent on their own. So if this is it, hey, I've had a great life, and I was too tired to like fight the fight. But hundreds and hundreds of people began to pray for me. And, one day I woke up about a week before I started my chemotherapy treatment. And I thought, yeah, I think I'm going to live. It was no lightning bolt, but I just thought, yeah, I think I'm going to recover. And started chemotherapy. And every week, with the blood tests to see how things were progressing, the oncologist would come in and he would say, we don't normally see results like this. You are recovering so rapidly. And, went that way for 16 consecutive weeks of chemotherapy. By the way, I never really got sick from the chemotherapy. I was so sick to begin with. I could only go up.
Oh, relative, yeah.
But to back up just a little bit. So, before I started chemotherapy and I was in that headspace where I thought, I'm just going to die. I remember walking into the gym to cancel my membership because, walking up the steps was about the most I could do. And some days I just had to sit down on the steps for a while. And I thought, well, I'll never do this again. And, I was kind of choking back tears. You're getting me, Pam, in front of everybody. But,
dude, I do it to everybody. I'm just letting you know. It's a forewarning here. And yeah, I make people cry.
Yeah, at that point, I've been going to the gym pretty regularly. And, my oncologist even remarked, I was so sick. I looked so terrible. And he said to me, looking at like my complete blood count and he said, you are pretty healthy for being as sick as you are.
Okay, that's a weird thing to say.
It's a weird thing. Yeah. But, apparently all the working out for the prior years, it had helped. I hadn't gone downhill as
okay.
I might be.
We're going to take a little sidebar here. Okay.
Sure.
Listen up. When you have that strong foundation of taking care of yourself, being strong physically, getting out there, doing your walking, your hiking, and then doing your lifting, right? When you have that solid foundation, we have absolutely beautiful published research that says that will, by definition, give you huge benefits when you are faced with some medical condition. It's more likely that you'll do well versus someone who was very, very unfit, etc. So that's why, there are a lot of life lessons, really important things here, because we're all about living a life of health and fitness. And people oftentimes say, why do you go to the gym? And why are you doing all that stuff? And I'm saying, well, I don't know, just to save your life to start with. So
Yeah.
so let's pick it up there. So you were the healthiest person given all of the medical stuff going on. Great comment from your doctor.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, if I had gone into this with high blood pressure and borderline diabetic and overweight and all, I might have not made it. My prognosis would not have been as good. But so anyway, I go into the gym. I remember this day to just cancel my membership because I thought, I don't even think I'm going to live. I'm definitely not going to be back in here again. And that was a hard thing to do. It was like kind of admitting defeat, but I thought I'm done. And so then, fast forward, we go through 16 consecutive weeks of chemo. Every week I felt better and better. I began to regain weight. That was hard to do. I had gone down to 128 pounds. To just break the 140-pound mark took a while. And then after that, I began to pick up speed with the weight gain. And by January, I thought, I got to start working out again. And I didn't want to just head right back into the gym. So just at home, I started doing air squats and, push-ups and pull-ups, just what I could do. And, of course, that just increases your energy level, as you continue to do that steadily. And, right back in the beginning, a nurse at the beginning of chemotherapy, a nurse said to me, "You have got to make yourself move every day." She said, "I know you don't feel like it. You don't have energy. You want to lie on the couch, but you have got to get up and move every day." So, my first part of that was just walking the dog around the block, and then, graduated to air squats and push-ups at home. And then by, the end of 12 weeks of chemo, I thought, I'm going back to the gym. And I did. And, honestly, as I've got my pride, as a man, I go in there and of course, you got all the jacked people doing their stuff. And, I'm like, oh my gosh, can I even curl, a 30-pound easy bar? And, but I started. And this time it was with way more intention than I ever had
Why?
before.
Why? I'm curious, because again,
Right.
another life lesson. People once again think that, you lift weights, you do all these things just to look cool and to, all these, but it turns out it's much bigger than that. So go for it.
Yeah. Well, some very, personal health reasons for me. One of the really scary ways that multiple myeloma damages the body. There's these cells called osteoclasts and osteoblasts that, your bones are constantly in the process of being regenerated. And, the osteoclasts, I think it is, they break down the old bone, reabsorb it into your system. And the osteoblasts, they rebuild, they regenerate bone and grow new bone. That's why when a bone breaks, it can heal because of that whole process. Now with multiple myeloma, the cells and that process that regenerates or rebuilds bone, that stops. The process that reabsorbs or breaks down bone, that continues. So, one of the ways I was diagnosed definitively with this disease was they do an x-ray of every bone in your body. And there were what they call lytic lesions, basically holes. Okay, I had some in my skull. No surprise, right? So my collarbone, my humerus, a couple holes in my left femur.
So basically moth-eaten from the fact
Yeah.
that, you don't have enough of the really good cells that will help build it back, because it's a beautiful little balance. You break it down, you build it up, you break it down, you build it up. It's that kind of a
So
thing. And you had
yeah,
way
the human
too much
body. I
breakdown.
mean, these processes that go on. What an education I've had through all this. It is amazing. It is fascinating. All the things that happen to keep us alive and functional. That we just
And
take for
so
granted. But
it's amazing. So you went back now to the gym with more intention. What did that mean?
well, weightlifting, weight bearing exercise helps to build bone mass. Thankfully, my bones were not at the point of fracturing. I just had these few small scattered holes here and there. But I thought, okay, I'm still safe to just go ahead and lift. And I thought, if I can build back bone mass or build it even more than I had before, I mean, this is going to be a lifesaver for me. And it boosts your immune system. Another effect of multiple myeloma, because it's your bone marrow that gets destroyed. I mean, that's the basis of your immune system, and that begins to tank. So I thought, this is going to help me rebuild bone mass. It's going to strengthen my immune system. I'm going to have more energy. And so I just got really intentional about it. And lo and behold, by just making myself really do it, I started to enjoy it.
Wow. And so after a while, it just sort of kicked in there a little bit. So you went in there with intention. You wanted to clearly, get stronger. At the same time, you wanted to be able to maintain optimal bone health given everything that was going on. And then something kicked in. You started liking it a lot. Yes.
I confess, I love weightlifting. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. I know everyone's sort of looking at you right now going, he doesn't look like 118 pounds. So what was the poundage you were able to gain over time in terms of the musculature and your consistent weightlifting?
Right. Now I'm kind of holding steady between 160, 165.
Fantastic.
At one point, probably a year before my last round of chemotherapy, which I had this year, I actually got up to 170,
Oh
for
my gosh,
like, I couldn't hold it there, it was like 2 weeks. And, I just have that metabolism, for me to actually gain weight is an effort. Sorry.
not even a problem. But you said you had your last chemotherapy when?
Well, I'm actually, right now I have an ongoing chemotherapy. So 2017, the myeloma began to come back, as it does. So I had 24 weeks of consecutive chemotherapy treatments. I worked out consistently all through that time. Never felt sick. Just kind of plowed through. And then let me see. So July or April to July 2020, I had another 14-week round of the same thing. It stopped working so well, so we switched. So from December 2020 until the present, I'm still doing chemotherapy. Started out once a week. Now it's just once a month.
Okay. And you've been holding steady during this time.
Totally.
And so let's go back to this again. There are a lot of people out there who are watching this podcast and they're saying to themselves, damn, what a story. It's like, talk about challenges in your life, crying out loud. And yet part of your healing process involved the gym, or for all intent and purposes, it
Yeah.
involved exercise,
Yeah.
physical activity. And many people don't even think about that when they're thinking about, cancer and healing and the rest of it. Instead, they're, more concentrating on medications and bed rest and all the rest of it. When you're going the opposite direction, going, well, thanks a lot, but what I'd rather do right now is, a couple deadlifts and I'll be perfectly fine. And people need to understand that it's a very rich experience to take care of yourself when you lift weights, when you do your cardio, when you're doing any form of physical activity, because so many of us diversify. I mean, I do martial arts and I've got yoga and all the rest of it too, on top of the weightlifting and the cardio. But for you, this went pretty deeply. I mean, it literally, I would venture to say, was part of saving your life.
Yes. Yeah. So for me, it's really become an essential element of my life, not just something optional that, I might do if I find the time. I'm going to make the time because this is what's keeping me going. By the way, I am 63 years old, and
Jeez, wait a minute, you're what? You're
yeah, I'm 63.
seriously? I mean, I'm not
Very,
kidding you. I literally thought when I saw your pictures and stuff that you were in your 40s. For real.
oh,
I'm not just being nice because I don't have to be nice either. I could be pretty deadly. But seriously, I thought you were like in your 40s and you're 63 years old. Okay, there it is, another life lesson. You look different. You look more youthful, more, fit. Now that little glowing complexion, when you take really good care of your nutrition as well as your physical activity.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's really impressive. That's impressive.
So, I mean, iron, lifting, it really is the fountain of youth. And, I mentioned, they discovered when they did all these x-rays to look at my bones because of the cancer, every time they did that, they noted degenerative disc disease here, severe degenerative disc disease here, and I remember when I was 40, I had like severe lower back pain. There
Mm.
were a period of months where I couldn't bend over and tie my shoes. And, I went to a chiropractor who, not to diss on anybody, but, he gave me the standard, don't lift anything over 5 pounds. And I tried to follow that advice for a while. And I'm like, I'm not getting any better here. So,
And plus,
forget
I'm
that.
probably getting worse because I'm not lifting anything over 5 pounds.
Yeah, exactly. So finally, after a couple months, I'm not getting any better. I thought, screw that. I'm just gonna, go back to the gym again and lift. And so now at 63 years old, those degenerative discs, and they've only gotten worse, right? But I don't have any back pain. I
Rest
have
my
no
case.
lower back pain ever.
All right. All right. Take a stop now. One of the reasons why, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the
Mm,
reasons why is you do core work. There's a rule.
a lot.
The stronger the ab, the stronger the back, the stronger the back, the stronger the ab. And so, I watch you when you're doing your little workouts and stuff on Twitter, and you're really working, that ab, and you're really keeping strong core. Well, if you have a
Mhm.
strong core, it's like having, you know, um, some kind of a shield around and that protects,
Yes.
like armor. It protects your back so that you will feel better. And I just tweeted the other day, as you remember, that whole issue about resistance training increasing flexibility in the back,
Yeah.
so that what you don't want to be is like the leaning tower of pizza and then you just fall over and crack. Instead, you're more like this, and you could do that. How cool is that, Paul? I mean, that's just amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and these were things that I didn't, when I started out weight training, I didn't think about all this stuff. Of course, then after, cancer, and as you get older, you start to think about mobility. I'm like, good grief. I still, I spend lots of time in Africa still, and I got a lot of stuff to do. I want to keep moving. So, again, this is an essential element to keep mobile, to keep flexible, to keep pain-free as possible. I mean, it's not 100% possible, as we age, but, you can, I guess what I wanted to say about this is, exercise, weight training, it is self-empowerment. You don't have to be a victim of just, your joints crapping out and, your disc flattening and everything's creaky and achy. You can do something.
And a lot of your tweets are about that. I was reading a couple the other day that were lovely. How you feel about your progress on any given day and your actual progress are two different things. Just keep showing up and don't let feelings run the show. It's that kind of tweet that is so beautiful. Now, my question, right, is how did you join Club 100? How did that come about?
Okay, well, I have basically been training by myself, lately. For a while, it was because of COVID. My aunt, with being on chemo, compromised immune system. My oncologist really freaked out that I was still going to a public gym. He's like, please, just so I set up a workout space in my garden shed, where I have a pull-up bar and a bench and dumbbells. So I've been training on my own for a while, and you just have got to keep yourself motivated. It's and sometimes that's hard to do, when you're just by yourself. And it's kind of an up and down thing. So some days, to be honest, I'll look in the mirror and think, dang it, I'm not making any progress. I'm still a twig. And then other days I'm thinking, oh, I'm getting really jacked. I feel good about this. But that's irrelevant to your actual progress. You just keep showing up.
I love that. It's such a beautiful ethic. So where did Club 100 come in?
Oh, yes. So Club 100. Thank you. I got a little sidetracked there.
I love the sidetracks. I'm
great.
You are trolling along right with you.
You're a great podcast host, keeping me on track here. So Club 100. So anyway, this whole thing of motivation, I've been working out by myself. So I'm frequently looking online for, ideas, new routines, just to see what somebody else is doing. And, I've had this Twitter account for a while, but it's been like, it's just barely had a heartbeat. But one day I got on there and I'm looking through and I see this Club 100 thing and all these people working out and just the encouragement, the positive vibe. And I thought I liked that. So, I could definitely use some of that encouragement. So that's why I put the 100s around my name and got on board.
And then they welcomed you on board, man. There was no question.
Yes. Yeah. So it really is a big encouragement, and it's a good shot in the arm to just keep going.
I've found when I'm doing these podcasts, and also just by listening up to a lot of people's tweets, that a lot of people are solo. They're out there and they're working out. Even if they're at a club, they're solo, if you know what I mean. They show up and, and most people are kind of acidly, in their little lane, and there's not a lot of chit chat going on. There's a lot of, just working it and doing the work. And one of the things that's lacking for people, all over the place, we have members in Europe, we have members in Canada, we have members in the United States, even Australia, is that people love community.
Yes.
People love to be able to give a shout out. In Club 100, you end up kind of hanging out and, with certain little, groups of the club members, because there's like so many of them now. And it's nice to be able to do the good morning to everybody. What are you doing today? Blah, blah, doesn't that just feel good? Because I know that you and I have become good friends on Twitter, and you're always there. And I'm always giving you a shout out as well when we're doing our little thing. And it's just sort of neat to just be there to kind of, I don't know, there's something that's just so wonderful about human connection, even if we're kind of stuck doing this with, a social media platform only. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I'm not gonna preach here, but
please do. Come on now. This is what you do for a living.
So as a Christian believer, I believe that people were made in the image of God, and that means we're made for relationship and connection. Again, that's not another optional thing. That is an essential for a healthy life, is to have relationship, to have connection, to have that sense of belonging somewhere. And so, I'm really enjoying the Club 100 thing. I have my church I'm a part of now, and my Christian community, but unfortunately, most of those people don't lift. So I can connect with them.
All right. This is something you're going to have to turn them on to. No question.
I got to try to evangelize, more for lifting. But but here's a place where I can connect with other people that lift and that get that thing. And so
I just love it. It's just I look at your tweets And you've got such great stuff. You had that one that was a little bit scary. You had a chain around your neck, and then the chain was attached to you. This is what you wrote. Y'all be jealous of my hot new look, and it's understandable. I mentioned I've been struggling with neck pain, so part of the solution, movement and strength training. And with this and traction device, already feeling better. I don't know. This looked like kind of like a torture instrument to me, but that was the best picture ever. Seriously. What were you thinking?
Well, well, no, I have the last, again, all that degenerative disc stuff. And, I was starting to have some really severe neck pain, which I've never had before. Um, and all the stuff that's going on in there didn't happen yesterday. It's been there, but never had pain until recently, which I think a lot of it is from I'm sitting at a desk when I'm not traveling in Africa. I'm at a desk about 8 hours a day now. And, you end up looking down a lot, which is terrible. It's terrible for your neck. And, so I just kind of let that happen without thinking about it. And this pain, got my attention. I'm like, whoa, no, we can't do this. I am not headed for neck surgery. So I remember a friend of mine that I worked out with at a gym when I lived in Maryland some years ago. He had one of these, it's this head harness, you attach chain, you put a weight on it so you can do like neck flexion, extension, whatever you want to call it, to strengthen those muscles in the back of your neck. And again, as Dr. Pam said, those muscles, they act as like a shield or a brace around the spine and the bones. It's like splints around your bones. And I thought if I can, strengthen those muscles a little more to support my head, I think it's going to help, and it has.
I loved it. Everyone, the Twitter handle is Pastor Paul B, right? B1.
Mhm.
So Pastor Paul B1. So it's at Pastor Paul B1. And you can take a look at some of these amazing pictures. And something you say that you are whatever 5'4" or 5'5". I'm telling you, great things coming in smaller packages. You look like you're a monster in these pictures. It's just like, oh my goodness gracious. And then the thing that I love about the pictures too is interspersed is just such beautiful humanity, including that gorgeous dog. And as well, the mountains. You live in the Blue Ridge, which is just
Yeah.
absolutely heavenly. Um,
It,
and then it's the gift that keeps on giving. So you said back a couple days ago, church was so good today, about to have a fun chest session in the shed. What's the shed? What did you do, like trick it out? What'd you do?
yeah, well, the house that we found up here in the mountains that we moved down here, by the way, just 2 years ago. And as just I think God's provision that we found the house that we found, and we are really like in the mountains, in the forest. And but on our property was a really nice, like, garden shed, a good sized one, and just all enclosed. It's got electricity. And when the COVID thing started up, and I
No
doctor didn't want
gym.
to go to the gym, I thought I got to do something. So I added a couple extra beams in there and just made myself a pull up. I went to the plumbing section of Lowe's and got an iron pipe, and put it
Mhm.
across a couple beams. And because pull-ups are one of my go-to things. So I did that. And then my sons, for last Christmas, they got me a nice bench, and bought myself some adjustable dumbbells and a few other dumbbells, and some cable things. And yeah, so it's my own little space there. And
So, everyone can create their own little space. Quite frankly, people's own home gyms, wherever they may be, whether it's a garage or a separate room or a shed or whatever the situation is, they're absolutely exploding everywhere because I think people learned a little lesson, which is you better have a backup plan. And then there's
yes.
this funny little moment where you suddenly realize, all those excuses you used to have about not going to the gym. Oh, it's a long commute and the parking is horrible and the people are always on the damn equipment when you need it. And then you go, whoa, wait a minute. I now have my own place. I have absolutely no excuse. You just walk like how many yards away and then you get right into that gym. So that's why I kind of like those home gyms, because you can really. But then here it is with your wife. So you said, meanwhile, my amazing 61-year-old young wife just knocked out a half marathon in Denver, and training in these Blue Ridge Mountains set her up well to conquer the Mile High City, because it's saying a lot. You're going to be sucking a lot of oxygen up there, to say the least. But how cool is that? So it's just, a fit family all the way around. So here you are. I finally get a chance to meet you after, like following you all over the place and being fascinated with your workouts and replying to your wonderful support to me as, I'm sitting there doing my little thing. Um, and now, we are Club 100 members. We're, really happy to be part of this community, which really has so much meaning and purpose behind it. And now we have yet more stories here. I want people to really thoroughly understand what Pastor Paul went through and is still going through. And that, once again, those two beautiful verbs, adapt and adjust. Can you find some way to be able to do a workaround to make
Yeah.
this work? That's what this is all. It's a workaround. And isn't life just full of that? And fitness, mental, physical fitness, because when you go into that gym, the mind, it's like a lockjaw, and this really helps to be able to improve the quality of your life, save your life. I'm on
Mhm.
the board of the American College of Sports Medicine. I am a sports med doctor. And, I listen sometimes to people saying, now you should be, wagging that finger. You should be doing 150 minutes of cardio every single week. And you should be doing little, workout. And I'm like, stop, stop already. Nobody
Yeah.
does anything without intention, like you,
Right.
purpose, and you've got to make it relatable to them. You can't just, write them a script and tell them to go.
Yeah. We
So
have to have a reason. Yeah.
yeah, and this is why actually at ACSM we came up with an entire campaign called Exercise is Medicine. And
Yeah.
so what we say is, instead of just popping pills and potions and patches and you know, why don't you just get up and get vertical and lift some heavy objects and move forward, get some cardio in there, just do it. And you are just the epitome of all of this. And I gotta say how honored I am that you're on the podcast here to share with everyone else.
Thank you. Thank you. If I could just say a word, you mentioned a couple times adapt and adjust, and because life just throws you curveballs, and the kind of key word for me has been perseverance. You just and having worked a lot in Africa, I think it's really taught me that and developed that in me. It's like in developing world situations, a day is never going to go the way you planned. Something is always going to go sideways, and you've got to figure out a workaround, or just plow through, or whatever. And I've come to realize, for a large portion of my life, I just expected everything to just go well. That you make the plan, you work the plan, everything will just, all the doors will open, everything will unroll seamlessly and flawlessly. Well, no, that's not life. I think life is more about problem solving, and persevering through and working a way around obstacles, than it is just having everything go smoothly. And you'll waste a lot of time if you spend your life trying to avoid difficulty, because it'll find,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely. The obstacle is the way.
Yes.
It's giving you this extraordinary opportunity to do exactly what you said, Pastor Paul, and that is to be able to show how you can just figure it out, and come up with some problem solving, because the more you do, the wiser you get. And then, it's almost like a constant practice of adapting and adjusting and adapting and adjusting. I actually call it A squaring.
Yeah.
Okay. So two A's both together, A squaring. Today, wake up in the morning, first of all, open your eyes, first thing in the morning, go, oh my God, I'm still here. Okay, that's a good start. You're still here. The second one is, how about some gratitudes? I'm not only still here, but I'm very grateful for. Blah, blah, blah. Write down
Yeah.
that list. And then sit bolt upright in bed and then just say to the world, bring it on. Just go ahead and bring it on. I'm going to grow some hair on my chest. God, I hope well, anyway, I'm going to grow some metaphorical hair on my chest, and I'm going to show you how I can adapt and adjust. And it's kind of like that attitude when you walk into the gym and you go, okay, and even on a rotten day, you got a little bit of that attitude thing going, and it's just kind of nice. It kind of rubs off and onto your whole life. And I say this with a huge smile because it's fun. The whole thing is kind of fun. Well, I could literally seriously talk to you forever, because you are just a fount of knowledge on all of this, and you're a living example of how you adapt and adjust. I just want
Thank
to
you.
say on behalf of Club 100, thank you so much for being on this podcast and sharing your wit and your wisdom.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. It has really been great. And, I hope some of what we've talked about today will encourage, inspire, motivate somebody to, just keep pushing through.
And if we did motivate someone and encourage someone, well, then come on down and join Club 100. Please run on over to the Twitter handle at 100 Club 100, and you can learn more about us, to say the least. And I got to say, this was an absolutely amazing episode. I hate to do it, but
Well,
that's a wrap. And, and I look forward to the next episode. But honestly, everyone, have a wonderful day, and just take a moment and realize, just like Pastor Paul said, you're a lot stronger than you think. Have a great one, everyone. Bye.